Welcome to the podcast of Educators Without Borders. Today we have Her Excellency Fatimatu Abubakar. She is an information minister from Ghana. Let's hear from her experience. She was working in different ministries earlier and also as a lawyer, women lawyer, working with different cases and upliftment of women. Let's hear from the minister. Please.
Dr. Abbas, Assalamu alaikum. I'm so excited to join you today. And I have to commence by thanking you personally and also Educators Without Borders for the opportunity for us to participate in this year's Jihad conference.
It's our pleasure
the knowledge we have shared, the experiences, the networks that we've encountered within the period are the people that we will cherish for the rest of our lives. So I don't take such opportunities for granted at all. Just as you mentioned, I am a lawyer and a politician from Ghana. I started as the aide to President Akufo-Addo when he was the presidential candidate for our political party in 2015. And when he won the presidential election, I was deployed to the office of the president as the deputy communications director. And subsequent to that, as a lawyer, I was a spokesperson for the president in our 2020-2021 presidential elections petition at the Supreme Court of Ghana.
Great.
And alhamdulillah, from there, I moved to the Ministry of Information as Deputy Minister and now Minister-Designate. Over the period, I have learned so much on the job and also learned to carry the responsibility and the weight of being a Muslimah, representing a minority community in Ghana, and the kind of leadership that I can show for our young women, especially within Muslim communities, to follow.
Wonderful. Yeah. And because Educators Without Borders is more on education, we know that information you are with all other, because that's maybe the new tool we use for educate, especially the medias, different kind of media we have. So could you explain that, how the education media in there and information technology develop in the country and how that support the education in the country?
Okay. Interestingly, our government rolls out a lot of educational policies. And at the Ministry of Information, although we are not the sector ministry implementing the policies, we hold such responsibility to do two things. A lot of advocacy for people, especially young people, to take advantage of the policies that the government has implemented. For instance, we have access to basic and senior education because public schools are free in Ghana. You don't pay fees. But there are people in very rural communities who may not have some schools within their particular vicinities. You need to empower them, give them the necessary support so that they can move the kids to come to the district capitals or bigger, larger communities where they can access education. And that aspect of education, which has to do with mass media sensitization and public education campaigns, is directly under the Ministry of Information.
Yeah, that's great.
In Ghana, we have what we call Information Services Department under the Ministry of Information that travels to very rural places with information vans. So we show videos of opportunities, of policies, of developments that are happening in the country, because not everybody has access to electricity. Not everybody has access to some of the resources that are available in the city. So when we do those house-to-house community engagements as a ministry, we are able to bring help to the doorstep of those who are in very rural areas. Ghana also hosts a very large refugee population. And that's what a lot of people don't know about Ghana. Ghana has a long-standing history of being the home of a lot of refugees. Starting from the Liberian War in the 90s, we have the Budumburam refugee camp in Ghana, which was recently closed after about 30 years. We have other refugee camps in the Upper East region, in the Upper West region of Ghana, or because of the situation in Burkina Faso, and also Northern Togo and Niger and Mali, because West Africa has seen a lot of military takeovers or coup d'etats in recent years, and also civil wars in some neighboring countries, which has forced a lot of people to flee down south to Ghana. Also because of issues of climate change and drought and other displacements due to natural causes. A lot of people within the desert areas and also within the inland countries are moving towards the coast, and that has significantly impacted the migrant population in Ghana. So if you go to a place like Tarakom in the Upper East region, there is a huge refugee camp for over 3,000 people, which is managed by UNHCR. And over the period, if you follow some of my social handles, you will see that I'm one of their goodwill partners, campaigning for the Muslim Ummah in Ghana, especially in Ramadan and other periods, to give their zakat so that we can support the various refugee camps. So in Ghana, one principle that I believe we hold high is that access and kindness should not just end at the corridors of our airports. We pride ourselves of Ghanaian hospitality, and it does not matter how you enter Ghana. We make sure you are received, you are integrated. We show you the Ghanaian hospitality and offer the little that we have, because you are also aware we are a country going through a lot of financial challenges. But that's notwithstanding, the neighborliness and our ability to support other countries around Ghana that are struggling has become our preoccupation.
Yeah, when we compare with other countries, I think you have more security, and in case of education, you are higher.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So could you talk about this women education and women empowerment in the country?
Okay. So in Ghana, we have what we call the supremacy of the Ghanaian constitution. Not the president, not the parliament. The constitution of Ghana is supreme. So if you look at our constitution, once again, and Article 17 of the constitution guarantees non-discrimination. So at the core of implementing any policy in Ghana is to make sure it is accessible to everybody. That is why in Ghana, we are one of the few African countries that has gender parity in basic and high school education, because it is free. And because of the free access, both boys and girls are all sent to school.
So it's a fundamental right?
Yes, fundamental right to education.
That's great.
And because of that, for instance, if you go to a high school in Ghana, we have a population of 1.4 million students in the high schools. And out of, if you pick every 100 boys, there are 104 girls. So there are more girls in high school in Ghana than boys. And we believe, just as studies from various international organizations have shown, if we integrate women in economic activities, in education, they can be very important contributors to the Ghanaian economy and help our country grow. Because the women population in Ghana is a little above half of the population. So if they are also supporting in this information age through technology, through entrepreneurship and SME, then they can contribute significantly to the development of our country.
Yeah, now you are being the full minister of information. So what will be the future plan? Let's sum up with this.
Okay, so first of all, in my ministry, we have oversight responsibility to check the information sector. Information sector, I'm talking about media relations, media support, and support for journalists in Ghana, and advocating for the rights of journalists in Ghana, and also the implementation of the RTI Act of Ghana 2019. So Ghana recently passed the Right to Information Act, so that when people need information from public institutions or institutions that receive public funds, there will be no gatekeeping, or people will not stop them from accessing information. So what we are doing at the moment is to do sensitization so that people will probe, they will ask questions, they will go to the ministries and request for information. Also, protection of journalists' rights. So if a journalist is threatened or attacked, or there is any incident, we have a coordinated mechanism for the safety of journalists, which has representatives from the National Media Commission and other key journalists and media associations in Ghana. And then we sit together to validate the claim, reach out to the security agencies to assess if there is a need to prosecute the matter. We empower them to be able to go to court so that journalists feel safe in Ghana. So those are some of the things. And we also do a lot of capacity enhancement programs, because in Ghana, there is no censorship. So because of that, some people, they don't even have to go to journalism school. You wake up today, you feel you are eloquent, you have something to share, you can do your podcast, and a very vibrant social media space. But in this day and age of misinformation and disinformation, you need to look for the resources to provide some education on ethics and professionalism, also on the legal framework, and on how we can report truthfully and hold the conscience of the country without thinking about money or your personal interests or pushing any other foreign agendas, and then corrupting the fabric of our cultural, our socio-cultural space. So we do a lot of capacity building and education, and when we can get support for the very vibrant media fraternity in Ghana, we do.
Thank you so much for sharing with all this information, and wish you all the best in future.
Thank you so much for having me.